stars like ashes. The war between humanity and the Virilan Dominion had lasted so long that even the stars seemed tired of it. Every system burned with wreckage, steel carcasses of ships drifting in endless orbit, their silent hulls bearing the scars of a conflict that began over a single, stupid misunderstanding about territory. The Virilans were not the monsters propaganda had painted them to be. They were beings of bioluminescent grace, translucent skin like polished amber, crystalline wings that resonated in harmonic tones instead of speech. They lived through light and sound, feeling emotion as vibration. To humans, they were incomprehensible. To Virelans, humans were loud, chaotic, impossible to predict, and that chaos was the only thing keeping humanity alive. On the war-scarred moon of Ashreach, Lieutenant Arik Hale was one of the last human soldiers left. His armor was cracked, his left eye replaced with an implant that flickered whenever the ion storms rolled through. He was exhausted, but stubbornly alive, the kind of man who refused to let silence claim him. Outpost Nova 3 was crumbling. Every hour, another section fell to the violet fire of Virelan bombardments. The last communication from High Command had been a single phrase: "Hold until evacuation." That had been 12 weeks ago. Now, Arik held out not for command but for pride, for the stubborn, distinctly human refusal to die obediently. When the sky split open with the song of Virelan ships, Arik climbed into his damaged fighter and soared toward them alone. He didn't make it far. A shimmer of light cut across the horizon, an invisible wave that silenced his engines, stripped sound from the world, and sent his ship crashing into the blackened plains. He remembered fire, then nothing. When consciousness returned, Arik wasn't in a prison cell. He was surrounded by light. Golden filaments hung from the ceiling like the roots of some living sun, pulsing gently in rhythm with his heartbeat. His body ached, but the pain was muted, as if wrapped in warmth. His armor was gone. His wounds were sealed with a substance that shimmered faintly when he breathed. And standing at the edge of the chamber was an alien. She was tall and graceful, with eyes the color of molten amber. Light rippled beneath her translucent skin like blood made of sunfire. The soft hum that filled the air came from her, each motion sending a vibration through the walls. "Do not move," she said, her voice carrying both sound and resonance, like a chord plucked on some vast unseen instrument. "You have torn the fibers in your chest." Arik blinked, trying to process her words. "You speak English?" Her head tilted slightly, wings folding behind her like glass ribbons. A translation, crude but sufficient. He tried to reach for his sidearm, but found only smooth stone beneath his hand. The alien moved closer and laid her palm over his wrist. Warmth flowed through him, gentle, electric, calming. "You saved me," he muttered, confusion warring with instinct. "Why?" Her eyes flickered with light, the Virelan equivalent of hesitation. "Because I am tired of watching light die." Her name was Serai. She was not a warrior, but a resonant, a healer who tuned the energy frequencies that gave the Virelans their song-based power. The chamber they were in was an ancient temple buried beneath the war zone, a relic of her ancestors' faith, long forgotten by the Dominion's military. As she tended his injuries, their silence grew into something else, an understanding beyond language. Days passed, though the constant amber glow of Ashreach's sky made time difficult to measure. Sarai and Arik learned to speak in fragments, words, gestures, vibrations. She taught him that every emotion could be sung in resonance. He showed her how to dress wounds with human medgel and how to make fire from steel. They laughed once, at the absurdity of two enemies hiding from their own armies in a dead temple. The sound startled them both. When she laughed again, it was brighter, warmer, and something inside him shifted. He began to notice the way her light pulsed when she was thoughtful, how her wings trembled when she was nervous. He caught himself staring at the faint glow beneath her skin and wondering what it would feel like to touch, not as an experiment, but as a connection. One night, during an ion storm, the temple walls trembled and collapsed inward. Arik pulled Sarai into cover, shielding her with his body as dust and debris rained down. When it was over, they were pressed close, his breath fogging against her neck. "Humans," she whispered, trembling. "You burn so loudly," he smiled faintly. "You light up the dark." Something unspoken passed between them then, raw and undeniable. Peace shattered with the arrival of the Ascendant Choir, the largest Virelan warship in orbit. Its purpose was simple: to erase the moon's surface. The Dominion called it purification. Humanity called it extermination. Sarai sensed it before Arik's senses did. Her light dimmed, her voice trembling with subharmonic fear. "They will cleanse everything," she said. "Human, Virelan, or will become glass." Arik rose, determination cutting through exhaustion. "Then we stop it." She stared at him as though he had spoken madness. "You cannot fight the choir." "Watch me." He explained his plan. Overload the relay spire that anchored the orbital beam, destabilize its frequency, and make the choir's purification weapon collapse under its own power. It was suicide, but if he could get inside, it could save both their species. Sarai listened quietly, then said, "You'll need a resonant to open the spire." He frowned. "You'd help me?" Her wings folded tight. "I told you, I am tired of watching light die." They moved through the ruins together. Arik armored and armed, Sarai cloaked in a shimmer of adaptive light. The gas giant above bathed everything in soft amber daylight, casting their path in gold and shadow. As they traveled, they spoke of their worlds. Sarai described the crystalline forests of Varela Prime, where children learned to sing their first frequencies beneath suns of blue crystal. Arik told her of Earth, of oceans and rain, of laughter and noise and the taste of salt on wind. "You live so briefly," she said, her tone both sorrowful and admiring, "and yet you feel so deeply." "That's what makes it worth it," he replied. When they reached the spire, the sky thundered. The choir was aligning. A field of energy began to hum through the air. Sarai placed her hands against the crystal wall, her wings spreading in shimmering arcs. "I can open the resonance locks, but I must stay linked." Arik met her gaze. "Then we finish this together." Her glow deepened. Together, inside the spire, the light was blinding. Streams of plasma ran through channels of glass, pulsing with impossible power. Sarai began to sing, a haunting melody that vibrated through the air, unlocking layers of energy shielding. Arik moved toward the central control column, patching his suit into the alien system. His HUD screamed warnings, but he ignored them. "You have to stabilize the field," she called, her voice trembling as energy rippled around her. "I'm trying," he shouted back, gripping the controls. Suddenly, the tower shook violently. The choir's main beam fired, striking the upper spire and channeling through the structure. Sarai screamed, her song distorting as the feedback tore through her body. Arik ran to her, but she pushed him back. "Finish it!" He looked at her, light pouring from cracks in her crystalline skin, and felt his chest break with something far worse than fear. "I won't leave you," he said. She smiled weakly. "Then let us burn together." With a roar, Arik forced the overload sequence. The tower's resonance fractured, collapsing in on itself. Light swallowed everything. When the explosion faded, silence fell. Ashreach was still. The choir had vanished, its energy signature erased. The war was over, though neither army yet knew it. Arik staggered from the ruins, his armor cracked and glowing faintly with golden light. In his chest, beneath the implant, something pulsed, soft, rhythmic, familiar. Sarai's resonance. Her body was gone, but her song remained within him. He fell to his knees, staring up at the swirling amber sky, tears cutting through ash. "You did it," he whispered. "You stopped the dying." The wind shifted, carrying faint harmonics through the air. Sarai's voice, woven into the planet's frequency. "You still carry my light." A decade passed. Humanity and the Virelans ended their war. Trade routes opened. Embassies were built. Children grew up learning songs of peace that mixed human melody with Virelan resonance. On the colony world Eden's Reach, Arik Hale lived quietly as a teacher, helping the next generation understand the war they would never fight. His hair had gone silver, but his eyes still burned bright. At night, when the auroras rose over the horizon, he would walk to the ridge above the settlement and look at the stars. The light from Ashreach still glowed faintly there, a permanent golden shimmer in the void. He could hear her sometimes, in the wind, a vibration, a chord of memory. "You still carry my light." And he would answer softly, "Always." That night, as he spoke, the auroras flared brighter than ever before. The light twisted, folded, and for a moment he saw her, Sarai, her form radiant, wings outstretched, smiling. Not a ghost, not an illusion, but energy reborn. Her song filled the air, harmonizing with the rhythm of his heart. He reached toward her, and the world became gold.